Hey folks, what's going on? Good morning from Dhaka, Bangladesh. I'll be doing back-to-back two reviews. I'll try to make it relatively shorter videos. Today I have two samples. One is a gift from one brother. Other one I actually purchased from one of the shops. One is from House of Burberry. Other one is House of Hugo Boss. So I think I want to do the Hugo Boss first. And this is a gift, very generous gift, precious sample from one of my brothers, brother Belal Sharif Bhai. He actually is my neighbor in where I live in Bangladesh, the capital city. He doesn't live far away from me. So we met up one day and he's like, Joy bhai, I have something, four samples for you that I prepared, two vintage. One was Polo Green that I reviewed, and then the other two was Bulgari Wood Neroli, as well as I think was the other one, David of Cool Water Intense. So you guys saw those reviews, all courtesy to Belal Bhai. So this particular one special about this and Polo, even extra special are, these are the very first vintage batch. These bottles belong to his dad and he actually keeps them locked. I think Belal Bhai got somehow, um, like access to his collection, and then he kind of decanted 10 ml from each bottle, and from there he gave me 2 ml each. So if that's not love, what you call fragrance community, that's pure love. So I'm gonna talk about this one. I'm wearing this in my hand for some time. So you guys know Hugo Boss Bottle is one of my favorite signature scent from back in the time. Like in university, college, I rocked a lot of Hugo Boss Bottled. I have rocked Lacoste Purom, fragrances like Lacoste Red, CK1, those fragrances, basic fragrances. So Hugo Boss Bottle was one, actually was pretty expensive in Malaysia, and I went through like a 30 ml bottle, then I had a 100 ml. I think my dad had a 200 ml somewhere, but I never really got to try the very first vintage because Hugo Boss was released long time ago, Boss Bottle. So this perfume, I think there are major, not really, I would say not major, but there are significant differences between the old one and new one. So I gave my bottle, Boss Bottled, to my dad because I was using this one, Hugo Boss Bottled Intense CDP. So these two are uh, similar, but I think this one is more closer to the original EDT because this is more fresher. So this perfume, upon initial spray, Bilal asked me, "Do you get any alcohol blast?" Because it's been a long time. At first, what I thought was an alcoholic opening. Actually, turns out to be it's the intense apple, and this apple note in this one, it's much more intense and sweeter than the newer version. Forget about juice color and everything. I'm just talking about strictly the how it smells. So upon initial spray, it seems very sweet and it doesn't suit the summer at all. The newer batches relatively, those are more appropriate, more like more citrusy, got a little bit citrus, some apple. It's lighter, but this one reminds me strictly three fragrances. First fragrance that came to my mind is very close to is YSL L'Homme. Uh, Hugo Boss Bottle, the modern version, when I smell it, people say it's similar to YSL L'Homme, but I actually did not see that much similarity. There was some apple connection, but this one in the original formulation, the vintage, this one actually is close to YSL L'Homme. I have all those. I have reviewed all of them. So this particular perfume, I think it will be great for fall time. Horrible. So it will be great for fall time, and the fragrance will be perfect because it lasts a very long time. I think at least 2 hours more than the current formulation of EDT. And the fragrance is also close to Tommy for men, Tommy for him. That one also an apple pie note, but this is better. And the third fragrance I can tell you, it's kind of gives me a vibe of is uh, Parfum de Marly Layton. You know, Layton has a very warm, spicy apple note, but that has a lot more spices and a lot more depth. So that one is perhaps a niche version of Hugo Boss Bottled. So all in all, this perfume it's pretty nice. You know, like this is like looking at something like you love Hugo Boss Bottled as your signature scent, and you look up on and you see something from the vintage time, the very first formulation. So this is how I look at it. I do not spray this every day. I did use it like this much just for the testing purpose, and I'll be just spraying them when the time is right, when the winter is here. Our winter is something like your fall if you are in the States or Canada or Europe. So this perfume is pretty masculine. It's a little bit mature. It's not for teenagers definitely, but the newer formulation I would suggest to teenagers because it's a lot more lighter, airy, and projects a little bit better. This one, it has the depth, so it's almost as good as the Intense CDP, but Intense CDP has a little bit more sweetness. It's a bit more amped up. But where this one stands, I think this is a classic. If you are fortunate, sometimes you get to smell CK. He even gave me today one Where is it? I have it somewhere. He gave me a sample of CK1 vintage. The gifts keep pouring in. I also have another CK1 vintage. I will compare those with my modern formulation, like doing these updated videos. But all in all, this is quite an experience. This one didn't go bad. I think it was preserved very well, and I really like smelling Hugo Boss Bottled in its original formulation. It's pretty nice. Juice color is about the same, light yellow. Very nice. It's one of the top sellers in the market. Even it will be just like Fahrenheit, Cool Water. If you talk about CK1, Aqua di Gio, this is gonna be one hall of a famer kind of perfume for me. It's like one designer for life. This DNA, you cannot go wrong with it. So overall, I cannot put a mark to my sentiments, so you can understand this is very close to my heart. Hugo Boss Bottled, the whole line of it, intense EDT or EDP, whatever I smell, love the DNA. This is perhaps Hugo Boss's top seller, and for good reason. So thank you very much, Belal Sharif Bhai, for letting me try it and talk about it, and people can know a little bit how it was in original formulation. So that's pretty much the Hugo Boss Bottled vintage formulation. Okay, so now time to move on to the second episode. See you soon. Bye bye.